So, are Gazelle bikes the comfiest e-bikes in the world? Find out in this video. Welcome. Hi folks, I'm Jason and welcome to eBike-centre. So today we're talking about the most comfy bikes on the market, and in particular we're talking about Gazelle, or to be official, Royal Dutch Gazelle, as they are appointed by the Dutch royal family. Gazelle have been around for a long time. 1892 was when the company was founded, and they've been producing annually, roughly, can't be exactly, 275,000 e-bikes per, no, bikes, not e-bikes, bikes per year, which is a fair few. Ride like the Dutch, that is Gazelle's slogan, and what they mean by that is they use riding in a much more upright riding position. So if you've ever been to the Netherlands and you've seen the hordes of bikes that are everywhere, everyone rides in an upright riding position. You don't see people on road bikes or on mountain bikes, they're all on what we now coin Dutch style bikes. And everyone is sat upright, they look around, they've got a nice view of what's going on around them, it's comfortable, they're not having a race, it's not Tour de France, it's just commuting around their country. And they do it in style, in comfort, a lot of the time on Gazelle e-bikes, because Gazelle are the biggest manufacturer of bikes in the Netherlands. So what makes Gazelle different? Well, to start with, they're hand-built in the Netherlands. The bikes are built to last. They have to spend most of their time outside. They're used every day as commuter bikes. If you've ever been to the Netherlands, you will have seen all the bikes and no cars in pretty much every city in the country, and everyone gets around on these bikes, so they have to be strong and sturdy. So Gazelle use a thicker aluminium in their bikes than your average e-bike producer. They also use more layers of paint as well, so it's less likely to get paint chips, and as a result, corrosion is also minimized. Every component that is fitted to a Gazelle is of higher quality. So you'll often have bikes that have plenty of bells and whistles, so they'll have your mudguards, your pannier axle lights, but they're not as seamlessly integrated as they are on a Gazelle. Simple things like some of their bikes have what are called skirt guards, so that's an additional layer of protection that goes between the mudguard and the rear seat, so you don't get any splashing coming up. It's called a skirt guard because traditionally it stops skirts going into the spokes. You've got a bike that doesn't rattle and shake around. The componentry is properly affixed. It's well thought through. It can't be the best-selling manufacturer of bikes in the Netherlands unless it can produce great bikes. The Dutch just won't buy it otherwise. So everything is of the utmost quality to make the Dutch buy it, which means that for the rest of the world, we benefit from all of this. Gazelle don't scrimp on the contact points on these bikes. So the contact points are your hands, your feet, and your bottom, ultimately. They're the bits that come into contact on the bikes, and Gazelle don't scrimp. They go for high quality saddles. Generally they're gel saddles on all of their bikes. They have much higher quality hand grips. Often you'll find leather hand grips in some of the higher end models, but they're always ergonomic. In addition, the pedals, they're probably the most standard part of the Gazelle makeup, but when you add all of these build quality layers combined, you get an exceptionally comfortable bike. They don't have the most suspension travel, they don't have the biggest tires, but every little detail, when it's added together, makes these bikes incredibly comfortable. What we're going to now cover in this video is several bikes from their exhaustive range of bikes, because they have a lot of bikes, that we feel are their key models that conquer all the main segments you would expect that sort of leisure style of bike to conquer. So first up, we've got the Gazelle Easy Flow. This bike is quite different looking to every other bike that you'll see in this video. It's got an incredibly extended step over. So it's designed for ease of access, whether that be for a smaller rider or for somebody who's lacking mobility, have got some mobility issues, or just in general just wants a very, very easy bike to get on and off. The pedals are actually set quite a long way forward on this bike. So rather than with a traditional bike, your pedals are almost directly underneath your seat, these are set a long way in front of you. The reason for this is because you can then get the perfect pedal stroke by getting a good leg extension, but your legs can then drop to the floor and get a full sort of planted foot when you come to a stop, which for a lot of people they find, particularly with e-bikes, is very useful. E-bikes are heavier, and Gazelle are certainly one of the heavier brands because they do build their bikes to last. So this, for some people, getting this full foot planted to the ground is a very useful option. These bikes are fitted with Shimano motors. There are various battery options out there as well, and it's a very good option, as I said before, for smaller riders or those with mobility issues, or just want to be able to get their feet flat on the floor with a slightly smaller bike. Let's talk about the Paris. So this is a traditional looking Dutch bike. The battery is still located on the rear of the bike, above the rear wheel, so you have a very classic looking frame. These bikes are fitted with Bosch powered motors. They're either the Active Line or the Active Line Plus. These are very comfortable, very easy to use motors. They're very quiet and they will scoot you around cities and towns and countryside rides with ease, and they're just exceptionally easy to get on with. You've got hub drive gear options as well, which you'll find across lots of the Gazelles. So if you're not au fait with hub gearing, essentially all the gears are contained within a hub on the rear wheel. It means that there's significantly less maintenance involved. They can also change gear stationary, which you can't do with a traditional derailleur system. There are drawbacks, which I'll go through later on, but for the average leisure rider, the hub gearing system is a lot easier, a lot cleaner, and much less faff for the average rider. In addition, the Paris now comes with hydraulic disc brakes, which it didn't in the past. A lot of the Dutch bikes coming out of Gazelle had rim brakes because it was a traditional method of braking that's been used for many years, and they just stuck with it because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But market conditions have basically determined that everyone really wants disc brakes, and they are better, frankly. So the Paris comes in several colours, a couple of different models. But ultimately, the Paris is more of an entry bike into the Gazelle range of bikes, which moves us on to the Grenoble. The Grenoble is much like the Paris in that it's a very traditional Dutch style of bike, very high in the handlebars. The battery is now contained in the down tube rather than being on the rack on the back, which makes for, in my opinion, a much more aesthetically pleasing bike. It does also mean that the battery is more secure inside the down tube. You also then have a bigger range of options. You've got an Active Line Plus motor in the lower models, which is the C7 Plus and the C8. The number donates the number of gears that the bike has. So that's a 50 Newton meter motor. We're talking hub gearing. Again, very, very easy to use. One has a belt, one has a chain, but it's all to do with essentially price points. You're talking leather hand grips versus non-leather hand grips. Then going up the range, you're talking about the C5, at which point they fit a much bigger motor. That's got the performance line motor, which is 75 Newton meters, which is the same motor that they fit to mountain bikes. So if you need plenty of oomph, that oomph is there in spades. Next up, we have the Ultimate. And as the name suggests, it is the Ultimate Gazelle, or it was the Ultimate Gazelle until the Eclipse came out. Anyway, so the Ultimate is the bike that kind of, it's their trekking bike. It fits somewhere in between the Grenoble and now the Eclipse. It can go off-road. We're not talking mountain biking, we're talking bridle paths, we're talking sort of field riding, we're talking any sort of purpose-built cycle routes, so looser surfaces, slightly more undulating, or potentially just the potholed UK roads. It's going to cope with those really very well. But it is really comfortable, but it's a bit more dynamic in the riding position. Again, it has the same range of motors as you have in the Grenoble, but they also do a C380 version, which has the Enviolo variable gearing hub on the back if you wanted a little bit more luxury, and basically it should be unlimited gear changes, but come on, we all know that you can't have unlimited gear changes. But it is a really nice system. It's very easy to use. Ultimately, the Ultimate is a great choice for most people. And finally, we have the big boy behind me. We have the Eclipse. So this is Gazelle's entry into the more rugged terrain side of biking. They did have for a long time, the Ultimate was the Ultimate, but it has been eclipsed. That was a joke from Toby, thank you. And it is much more rugged. It's got much chunkier tyres. It's got the Performance Line CX motor. So it's the first Gazelle that has the full 85 Newton meter Bosch treatment. Gives it plenty of oomph, well, insane amounts of oomph up the hill. So there is nothing that really won't climb. It's still, as I said, it's not a full mountain bike, but it will do most tracks that people who are going to buy a Gazelle ultimately will need. If you want full trail riding, full mountain stuff, then you need to buy a Trek or Bayer or a Specialized, but that's not who you are. If you're watching this video, probably. You're probably more into comfort, you're into a little bit of ease and just taking it slow and having a leisurely ride, which is exactly what these bikes do, but has the option of cranking it up a bit if you fancy a bit more adrenaline. As a more general point, Gazelle do both crossbar and low step options of nearly all their bikes, We certainly find that the low step bikes are by far and away the most popular. It's very comfortable, and for most people, ultimately, what is the point in a crossbar these days anyway? So we sell easily as many, if not more, crossbar bikes to men as we do to ladies. If you're going out touring, you've got your pannier bags on the back full of all the wine and cheese that you need for your nice leisurely trip. You don't want to kick it off with your leg when you throw it over the crossbar, do you? We have actually got a very good video on low steps and why to choose a low step if you want to tune into somewhere on the screen for you. But going on to gazelles, are they the most comfortable e-bike on the market? Well, yes, we certainly think so. Of all the bikes that we have dealt with, we find them incredibly comfortable to ride. Nearly everyone who gets on a Gazelle with us at the ebike-centre says almost immediately, oh gosh, isn't it comfortable? Because it is, ultimately, and because they focused on that. They're not focusing on being fast, they're not focusing on winning races, they're focusing on having a bike that lasts for a long time, is incredibly comfortable and brings joy to the riders. Finally, thank you very much for watching. We hope that the content has been useful to you. If you have any comments, we'd be really grateful if you could leave them below. If we don't see you in store, we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.